Hey guys! Today's spicy video is a guide on Burst Core Ruins missions. Before I get into the team build I used to fully clear the missions, I want to explain a couple of key tips to help anyone that may want to attempt this quest with different units. First, I recommend that you attempt this with a mono-element formation. This is because you will want to use an Esper that will benefit your element team. If you want to finish the mission within 30 actions, then you will want to do as much damage as quickly as possible. The enemies in this quest have a very high HP value, they also have ways to regain HP. Not to mention that overall, their resistances are a little ridiculous. A very important part of the strategy that I use is hate control. By utilizing a tank unit in the formation, you can have the enemies line up or group up for tons of AoE damage. This will also help reduce the number of actions needed to defeat the enemies. Another tip is that you will want to have units that can gain back HP through their own attack. If you have to constantly heal units with a heal-only skill, it will waste turns or actions. This strategy or idea concept is what I use to clear difficult PvE quest. But now, let's take a look at the team formation I decided to use in the difficult quest. I decided to go with Earth because they have an advantage to summoning Espers really fast. Not to mention that my account just has a lot of Earth Espers that have a map-wide effect. I'm using Kilf because she is capable of gaining HP back on damage dealt to enemies. The next team member is Prince Mont. His primary adjective is to get the enemies to focus on him and survive. Giving him Bloodsword to help maintain HP, also make sure the team formation has enough defensive VC cards. But now, let's look at why I chose to use Earth. Luelle is a scholar main job that has a very unique ability. Her Earthen Invocation skill buffs allies around her with Invocation gauge up. This means that after the buff is applied, all attacks your buffed units land will fill up the evocation gauge faster. This is a key strategy to summon the Espers as fast as possible. But with Queen here, there is even a faster way to fill up the summon gauge. She has a skill called Evocative Vestige. When she hits with this skill it will further increase the Esper summon gauge. This is why I believe Earth has an advantage in this quest. My last unit of choice here is Oberon, mostly because Hio is weak to piercing. Nothing too specific about this build, just bells and a VC to give more piercing attack. I would also like to state that this team is Trust Stone free. This quest can be completed with other elements, but hopefully, this playthrough will give you an idea of how to tackle this quest. Here is a quick reminder on what the missions are. The finish within 30 actions is probably the hardest part of the missions. Enjoy the tactics. The way I approach this is by getting my DPS units to line up in such a way that Luelle can buff all of them at once. To make sure I can achieve this, I have her move last. I would also like to say that Luelle also has an attack that can lower healing power, which I believe is a very important thing to do in the beginning.
Why do we have to fight so many enemies?
This won't be an exact sequence guide to follow, more so of a tips and strategies guide.
Preparations are complete.
The first turn everyone is going to get one buff on before fighting the enemies. My unit's first placements and movements are pretty crucial for getting the enemies to line up.
I shall not hold back.
The dragon's spear pierces
Oberon is the only unit that needs help with AP for this fight.
With all my might.
What an interesting
This is where Luelle can buff everyone with evocation.
Your support is appreciated.
I will say that in some playthroughs, I had to heal my Mont. Sometimes I didn't, it really just depends on RNG. I find it best to put Courage on just in case he takes too much damage. Using Evocative Vestige here greatly fills up the Esper gauge. This is where the enemies are lined up perfectly for AoE damage.
Why don't you give up now?
defenseless.
Here is where Luel can lower the healing power on all 3 enemies.
I will not waver.
I think not. I think not. I think not.
It's important for Mont to regain hate here so that the enemies can line up again.
Like this one.
Now it's time to summon my Esper so that the damage can really come in. Don't forget that this level has the damage cap increased by 10,000.
Not your way.
Now it's just a snowball effect of chaining earth attacks until everything is defeated. While I was doing this part of the damage, I kept a few things in mind. 1. That I still have to keep track of turn order.
Just give
To make
up.
sure I don't accidentally use a skill that has a casting time that happens after the enemy's turn. 2. Making sure that I optimize my skills by moving into positions that allow me to hit multiple targets at once.
Here I go.
Inexperienced.
Honestly, I really enjoyed trying to figure out this quest. This kind of content is what I enjoy doing. Hopefully, this information can help anyone figure out how they can accomplish a clear.
Why don't you give up now? Go no further.
This should do it.
The fight is not yet over.
This is where you fall.
Yes. I shall stop you.
Inexperienced.
22 total actions. At least this leaves room for healing or extra turns to do damage. Thanks for watching.